What is up, everybody? It's JT Dangerously here once again, and I am back with my Week 6 NFL predictions. Now, Week 5 just ended just a minute ago with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating Carolina, so I finished off Week 5 10-4. It's another winning week. Can't wait to get into this week and keep that winning streak going. Now going to Week 6, the teams who have byes, of course, are Minnesota Vikings and the now 2-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if you have any Tampa Bay Buccaneer players on fantasy or any Minnesota Vikings players on fantasy, make sure you switch them before you play your next matchup this week. So let's get right into these picks, starting with the Thursday night game. The Denver Broncos heading to Qualcomm Stadium to play the San Diego Chargers. Now, the Denver Broncos did lose to the Atlanta Falcons, which I did call, which I was happy to win that one, to the Atlanta Falcons. And then the San Diego Chargers, who did lose to the Oakland Raiders. So the Raiders continuing the streak of winning. Now, with this one, with Denver, of course, Paxton Lynch did a good job for himself. The only question is who we're going to get this week. Are we going to get Simeon or are we going to get Paxton Lynch? But then we have the Chargers, who barely lost to the Raiders, but they did give a fight. Antonio Gates did come back for them. Phillip Rivers looks good. Melvin Gordon looks good. Joey Bosa Jr. did debut for the Chargers finally this season. Their draft pick. In this matchup, I am going to take the Denver Broncos to beat the San Diego Chargers, just because I think Denver has a lot more weapons, especially on defense. And Rivers is gonna have a rough time with Von Miller and like all that talent right there. So I'm going to take Denver over San Diego. Now the Sunday slate, starting with the New Orleans Saints heading to Carolina Panthers heading to New Orleans to play the New Orleans Saints. Now the Carolina Panthers just lost. They're 1-4. It is panic mode in Carolina right now. Then you have the Saints, who did the Saints play? Saints play anybody? No, Saints had a bye this week. I would think the Saints did have a bye this week, if I'm right. Yeah, they did have a bye this week. They didn't play. This is coming off a bye, and Carolina. They're both of course, I think Carolina is last in the division now in the NFC South, which is surprising to say that the Carolina Panthers, the defending NFC South champions, are in last place. And of course, we don't know if Cam Newton's going to be ready for Sunday because he did not play in this game. It was Derek Anderson who played. Then you have the Saints who are coming off a bye that desperately needs a win. And so in this matchup, I am going to go with the New Orleans Saints to beat the Carolina Panthers to continue the losing streak to Carolina. So I got New Orleans over Carolina. Now the next matchup, the Tennessee Titans there. The Cleveland Browns heading to Tennessee to play the Tennessee Titans. Now the Cleveland Browns did get biblical massacre to my Patriots, of course. And they also lost another quarterback. Cody Kessler got hurt, so they're going to start a quarterback. I would think it's going to be Charlie Whitehurst or Terrell Pryor, because Terrell Pryor was a quarterback in college, and he was a pretty damn good one. Against the Tennessee Titans, who did beat the Miami Dolphins. They showed up this week. Mariota did some work. Delaney Walker did some work. If you got him on tight ends in fantasy, he did his job. DeMarco Murray looked good. In this matchup, I am gonna go with the Tennessee Titans because they have a quarterback. Cleveland doesn't. That's kind of a mismatch because you have Mariota, a great quarterback, against whoever Cleveland's going to be starting. So I'm going to take Tennessee to beat Cleveland. Now the next matchup, the Philadelphia Eagles heading to FedEx Field to play the Washington Redskins. Now, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles did lose to the Detroit Lions. Blame Ryan Matthews for not holding on to the fucking ball. Eagles fans, do not blame Carson Wentz for this loss. He did as best he could by bringing you guys back from 21 down. It's all on Ryan Matthews' hands. You lost that game. Ryan Matthews is to blame. Then you have the Washington Redskins, who did beat the Baltimore Ravens this week. So that was a big one for the Redskins. And this is a match of the NFC East, of course. In this match, because I gotta stick with the Eagles. The Eagles have been the more interesting team. I mean, You have Carson Wentz. You have Jordan Matthews, Nelson Aguilar, Dorial Green Beckham. You have the defense, Fletcher Cox. And then you have the Redskins, Kirk Cousins, of course, Deshaun Jackson. They have their defense, Josh Norman. Of course, he's going to be on the tail of Jordan Matthews, I would think. But again, in this matchup, I am going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles because I think last week was kind of it was not their fault that they lost. It was one player's fault for not holding on with two hands. And I repeat, two hands. Ryan Matthews, know the game. You got to hold it with two hands, not with one. So in this matchup, I am going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Redskins. Now the next matchup, my New England Patriots, who completely destroyed Cleveland, I would say the Cincinnati Bengals heading to Gillette to play my New England Patriots. Now the Cincinnati Bengals did lose to the Dallas Cowboys, of course. I mean, and now they have to head to Gillette Stadium to play my Patriots. The return of Tom Brady, which Tom Brady did fantastic in his comeback after the 4-game suspension, 4 touchdowns to Martavius Bennett. This is going to be that dual threat tight end thing with Gronkowski and Ben on two different sides. It's going to be one of those great seasons for the Patriots. Then you have the Bengals again, who of course lost to the Dallas Cowboys. It's a dichotomy of, you got AJ Green, you got Rob Gronkowski, you have Jeremy Hill, you have LeGarrette Blount, you have Tyler Eifert, but again, we don't know if he's going to be playing, so that's a big if. In this matchup, it's kind of obvious. I'm picking the Patriots because when you got Tom Brady back, and this is his first game back at home at Foxborough, come on, he's going to put numbers up. Let's say at least 3. I'm going to say at least 3 touchdowns with at least. I'll say 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. I would say those 3 touchdowns, hopefully to Gronkowski, Edelman, Martavius Bennett. So I'm taking the Patriots to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the next matchup, the Baltimore Ravens heading to MetLife, Gotham, of course, to play the New York Giants. And the Baltimore Ravens did lose to the Washington Redskins late in that fourth quarter, of course. And then you had the Giants, who did lose to the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Two teams that are coming off a loss. I mean, like, Baltimore had that game, but they kind of let it go. And then the Giants, well, it's the Giants. I mean, of course, Odell Beckham Jr. did get a touchdown, but that's kind of you get a touchdown in a losing effort, so that doesn't really help. And really in that division, in the NFC West, it's kind of Dallas or bust. No offense. And I'll get to the Dallas Cowboys as soon as we get to that pick. Now with the Ravens, of course, in the AFC South, the AFC North, with of course Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's they're going to win that division. I have a good feeling they're going to win that division, no doubt. Now in this matchup, I am going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to beat the New York Giants. They need a rebound, so this is the best way to rebound. And of course, keep your eye on Steve Smith Sr. He was hurt in that game against Washington, so keep your eyes open if you have him on your fantasy team, and keep monitoring him until game time. So I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens to beat the New York Giants. Now the next matchup, the San Francisco 49ers heading to Buffalo to play the Buffalo Bills. Now, San Francisco 49ers did lose to the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. And there's been a little bit of a rumor that they may start calling Kaepernick over Blaine Gabbert. But again, this is just a rumor. And Chip Kelly, of course, has not made that decision. Then you have the Buffalo Bills, who did bounce back to beat the LA Rams. Finally got Rex Ryan that win he needed. And again, this is a West Coast team coming on the East Coast, and I kind of think it's going to be just like what happened with LA with Buffalo. Like, LA could have won, but of course the West Coast flying to the East Coast doesn't really help the West Coast team. So I am going to take the Buffalo Bills to beat the San Francisco 49ers. Whoever the quarterback is for the Niners, Colin Kaepernick or Blaine Gabbert, doesn't matter. Buffalo just has that talent around them. So Buffalo will beat San Francisco. Now the next matchup, the Jacksonville Jaguars heading to Soldier Field against the Chicago Cubs. Now the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't had a bye this week, of course, so they're coming off a bye, and the Chicago Bears who lost to the Indianapolis Colts. So it's a good matchup. It's two. They lost to the Indianapolis Colts. I'm sorry, they lost to the Colts. So they're both one-win teams. So this is kind of a like 1-4 against 1-4 teams. So these kind of picks are kind of okay. I'm just gonna flip a coin and say, okay, I'm gonna take Jacksonville to win this. I'm gonna take Chicago. You know what? I'm gonna switch that pick because every time I pick Jacksonville, they screw it up for me. So I'm gonna take the Bears to beat Jacksonville to continue this whole Chicago streak. And of course, the Cubs are playing right now against the Giants. They win. They're in the NLCS, so that gives a lot of momentum for Chicago teams being. Of course, the NHL season starts this week. Of course, the NBA season starts in the next following week. So the Bulls, Blackhawks, and the Bears. So this is a good momentum. Of course, Brian Hoyer is starting. Brian Hoyer is starting for the Bears. I mean, of course, Jay Cutler is not starting yet, of course. So I'm going to take the Bears to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now the next matchup, the Los Angeles Rams heading to Ford Field to play the Detroit Lions. Now the LA Rams did lose to the Buffalo Bills. They lost their lead in the NFC West. Of course, the Seahawks are now the leader in the NFC West against the Detroit Lions, who did beat the Philadelphia Eagles, which was pretty much a big surprise. I mean, Stafford went off, Golden Tate went off, Theo Riddick went off. In this matchup, I do have a good feeling about LA in the West, but again, I still have the Seahawks winning that division. So I can say LA would be a good wild card team. So I am going to take the LA Rams to beat the Detroit Lions this week. Now the next matchup, the Pittsburgh Steelers heading to Florida to play the Miami Dolphins. Now the Steelers, of course, beat the Jets. Come on. Everybody's beating the Jets lately, so what should be any different? And then the Miami Dolphins, who did lose to Tennessee, which was kind of surprising because I thought that was kind of a win for them, of course, from the AFC North against the AFC East. So how can you pick against Pittsburgh? Like, look what they have around them. Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. And again, I'm going to tell you right now, fantasy owners who have those three players, you keep them in that lineup. You keep them in your lineup. Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, you keep them in your lineup. Then you have the Miami Dolphins, who again, they're not going to be a threat in the East, in the AFC East. No chance. There's not really a big-time team that has a legitimate chance to beat the Patriots, honestly. Bills may have something to say, but the Bills beat a backup quarterback, as I said in my last prediction video about the Bills. So in this matchup, this is a no-brainer. I'm picking the Steelers to beat the Miami Dolphins. This is a no-brainer. Now the next matchup in the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs heading to the black hole of Oakland to play the Oakland Raiders. Now the Kansas City Chiefs did not. I would say they had a bye this week, so they're coming off a bye, and then against the Oakland Raiders, maybe the best West Coast team right now. Like other than the Rams, the Raiders are the best West Coast team right now. And again, they got another big win. AC/DC got it done. Washington running back did well without Latavius. They did well without Latavius Murray. They got it done. Michael Crabtree got it done. And this matchup, and of course it's the AFC West matchup, and these two have a rivalry beyond rivalries in the AFC West. In this matchup, I'm taking the Oakland Raiders. I'm riding the Oakland Raiders bandwagon because they have so much talent, and this has got to be their year to get into the playoffs. And I'm hoping they get into the playoffs. So I'm taking the Oakland Raiders to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Now the next matchup. The Dallas Cowboys heading to Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys got it done again with Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott got it done for them, beating the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Green Bay Packers, of course, beating the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. Now, let me say something about the Cowboys. Now, I'm going to talk to Jerry Jones here. Jerry Jones, you must be a stupid idiot saying Tony Romo is still our starting quarterback. How is he saying that with a straight face, that Tony Romo is still our starting quarterback, when he is literally nothing? Dak Prescott is winning games for this team. This team is more relevant in the East now with him. Of course, it's the Eagles, Dallas. It's gonna be either the Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys, and they got two rookies starting. And of course, Dak Prescott hasn't even thrown an interception in 5 games, which is a record, which is saying a lot that a rookie that's come in for their ailing quarterback, Tony Romo, their starter, and he's already won 4 games for him, and he's not thrown a pick yet. I mean, he's your starter. Jerry Jones, get your head out of your ass. Tony Romo is the least. I trust Dak Prescott more than Tony Romo ever, and he's doing more with that weapons he has. He's got Zeke the Freak, and I'm gonna say right now, if there's any Cowboys fans out there, Zeke the Freak will be your new Emmitt Smith, and he's that good. He's gonna be your next Emmitt Smith. Don't even be surprised. And of course, hopefully they're gonna get Des Bryant back this week. Hopefully. But their talent is all around. With Dak Prescott, you can win. You like Dak, and unfortunately, Jerry Jones is such a stupid idiot that he's saying that Tony Romo is still our starter when he knows Dak Prescott is doing better than what Tony Romo was ever doing. And but I digress. That's about the Cowboys. And again, I'm no Cowboys fan, but I respect what Dak Prescott does and Zeke the Freak. Then you have the Green Bay Packers, who did beat the New York Giants on Monday Night Football. Pretty low-scoring game, but they still got the win. In this matchup, I am going to take the Dallas Cowboys. I got to believe in Zeke. I got to believe in Dak Prescott. He's doing fantastic in Dallas. Doesn't matter what Jerry Jones says that Tony Romo's our starter as soon as he's healthy. If he's healthy, he's staying on the bench because Dak Prescott is the man in Dallas. So I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys to beat the Green Bay Packers. Now the next matchup. This one's the big time one this week. The Atlanta Falcons, who beat the Denver Broncos, which, thank you Atlanta for that win. That was very much appreciated. Heading to CenturyLink Field to play the NFC West leading Seattle Seahawks. Now, of course, this is the top offense versus maybe the NFC's second. Well, I'd say second top defense. No offense, but like the Vikings being the undefeated team in the NFC, they may have the best. They may have the best defense, but I would say like Minnesota's number 1 right now, and then Seattle's number 2. The second best defense against the number 1 scoring offense. Now, this one is going to be a really good game. You got Matty Ice, you got Devin Coleman, you got Devontae Freeman, you got Julio Jones, you got all that talent against a very talented Seattle Seahawks team who are coming right off of a bye and a win. You have arrested Russell Wilson, arrested Thomas Rawls, arrested Christian Michael, arrested Jimmy Golden Grams. You got arrested Dougie Baldwin. You got an arrested defense, Legion of Boom, of course. This one's going to be a very interesting matchup. And my pick, I am taking the Seattle Seahawks to win and beat the Atlanta Falcons to continue their winning streak in the NFC West. Now the Sunday Night Football matchup in the AFC South Division. The Indianapolis Colts, who did beat the Chicago Bears this week, and thank you for that win, against the Houston Texans, who got completely blown out by Minnesota. So, this matchup, the Colts did show up, finally, for once, other than that game against Jacksonville and London. They didn't show up, but they showed up here. Luck did work. Gore did work. Hilton did work. What was the other guy? I know the other wide receiver. Philip Dorsett did work. Everybody did work. And then you have the Houston Texans, who are kind of declining since J.J. Watt has been hurt. I mean, Brock Osweiler is not doing as good as he's being paid for, which is not helping. And it's hard to win without J.J. It's hard. It is really hard. So in this matchup, I am going to take the Indianapolis Colts to beat the Houston Texans. Now the Monday night matchup, going against, of course, Monday Night Raw. The New York Jets heading to Glendale to play the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Jets did, of course, lose to the Steelers. Of course, you're trying to play the Steelers, you're going to get destroyed. And then the Arizona Cardinals, who just bounced back they did beat the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football. So that was a big win. The biggest question in Arizona is if Palmer's going to play, because Stanton did good of course, he is a backup, so that helped. That helped him a lot. So the biggest question is if Carson plays. If Carson plays, they have a great chance to win. If Stanton plays, it's a even. Then you have the Jets, who, again, I said this a few weeks ago in my picks. We're either going to get the 6-pick Ryan Fitzpatrick or the 4-touchdown, throwing it to Decker, throwing it to Imumwe, throwing it to Brandon Marshall, giving it to Matt Forte. Matt Forte did pretty good in that Steelers game. He showed up. Finally showed up. In this matchup, I am going to take the Arizona Cardinals because it's at home. And again, I'm taking a risk on picking Arizona because I do not know. We won't know until by Sunday or Monday if Carson's going to play. So I'm taking a huge risk picking Arizona, but I'll take the risk. So I'm going to take Arizona to beat the New York Jets this week. And those are my Week 6 predictions. I hope you enjoyed my predictions. Comment below. Who do you have winning this week? Agree, disagree? Like, who's going to have a better week this week? Let's have a conversation about it. I'm always up for conversations. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next predictions video. Peace.